Plaquemines Parish Council as the sole governing authority of the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District is called to order at 4:02 PM. Machines are open for roll call. Okay, we'll talk in a second. All 9 members are present. Next item, please.
Executive session pursuant to LRS 4217A2 for the purpose of receiving attorney-client privilege information regarding the pending appeal in the Fourth Circuit concerning Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District versus Tuan Nguyen, docket number 2024 CA 0614. Executive session pursuant to LRS 4217A1 for the purpose of discussing the character, professional competence, or physical or mental health of Donnie Sexton. Executive session pursuant to LRS 4217A1 for the purpose of discussing the character, professional competence, or physical or mental health of Danielle Rollo. Executive session pursuant to LRS 4217A2 for the purpose of receiving attorney-client privileged information regarding potential litigation involving Donnie Sexton. Executive session pursuant to LRS 4217A2 for the purpose of receiving attorney-client privileged information regarding potential litigation involving Danielle Rollo.
I offer, ask for a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Newsome. Any comments from the public? Commission, or, come to the mic, please. State your name and address.
Good afternoon, y'all.
Afternoon.
My name is Sherman Khan. I am an attorney from the Khan Law Firm. I represent Donnie Sexton and Danielle Rollo. I'm here to point out that neither one of my clients received any notice pursuant to Louisiana Revised Statute 42:17, which they were required to do under open session, executory sessions, when you are to discuss any mental health status of my clients. It is inappropriate and it's contrary to the law. There is no emergency that is currently being placed right now. I believe that those things should not go forth before any executive session, and it's inappropriate. Any questions?
Mr. Garrett.
Yes, sir. It was my understanding that the notice had gone out. I think there was a miscommunication. So I would advise that discussing the 2 items pertaining to the character, professional competence, or physical and mental health, if they didn't receive the notice, those 2 items wouldn't be appropriate to move into executive session. The other 2 items pertaining to attorney-client privilege communication with regard to potential litigation don't have that requirement, so it would still be appropriate if the council chose to go into executive session on those items.
So you're saying that we did not send out the notice?
Apparently, the notice was not sent out.
Okay, so we will
So items,
defer B and C, is what you're saying.
yes, sir.
And we will object to it regardless, just letting you know.
Okay, well, wait, hold on. So are you objecting executive session for D and E?
I am not.
You are not? Okay, so B and C we will defer, we'll not talk about in executive session. All A, D, and E is now what we're going to executive session. Does everybody understand where we're at? Okay, and do you have any other comments to where we're at? Thank you. Any other comments from the audience?
Thank you.
Hold on.
I want to clarify something with you, ma'am.
Mr. Jurisic, hold on.
Yeah.
All right, you have the floor.
So, moving forward with D and E, you're fine with that?
I am fine with it. I think it's inappropriate considering that it's litigation, and I believe the commissioner has already ruled on what is the subpoena ducis tecum's, what is to be ordered to be produced. So
What commissioner? When you say commissioner?
the Civil Service Commissioner.
Okay.
So there's already been standing order on that.
Can someone tell us what that is?
Wait, okay. So I'm going to ask one more time to be clear and then ask Mr. Garrett for clarification. Do you object to us going to executive session for D and E?
I do
Nope.
not, because it's,
Okay.
there's nothing contrary to the
Okay.
law. But I will tell you that the privileged documents and privileged logs that are discussed need to be in a privileged log as it was ordered by the commission, for the parish civil service regarding the port.
Okay. Do you want to respond to that, Mr. Garrett or
I mean,
Ms. McKnight?
Yeah, I don't think there's really, that gets more, I think, into the dispute, not into
Correct.
whether or not y'all can or cannot.
Can talk, yeah, this is talking
I
about, okay.
understand.
Okay, I just want to make sure everybody's on the same page and,
I think
and,
we are.
entitled to their rights and all that. Okay. Everybody understands what we're doing. Any other comments from the audience? Administration, table. Machines are open to go into executive session for A, D, and E. Passes 7-2 with no votes from. Okay, passes 8-1 with,
Ask for a recount since I'm on the prevailing side, so we can put it on record.
I mean, it's a verbal, yeah, okay. Okay, reconsideration,
ask for
machines are open for reconsideration for clarification purposes for the record. Passes 8-1 with a no vote from Mr. Jursich. At this time, we'll go into executive session for A, D, and E at 4:08 PM. We'll return from executive session at 4:17 PM. No final or binding action was taken in executive session. Next item, please.
3, status report by the Executive Port Director.
So good evening. In front of you, you have your Executive Director report. It will be displayed here on the screen. Page 1 is the Port Financial Summary. If you go to page 2, you will see the only difference between today's meeting and the last board meeting was a $57,000 change on an ordinance for a lease. Any questions on the financials? Okay, I wanted to just highlight, I know this slide is a little busy, but I wanted to highlight a few things that the port has actually, made some investments, not only in the port, but in the community. Obviously, the Point Lahash Ferry Landing emergency repair was complete. The port is very excited, about the 2 years and 2 months of work put forth in reopening this condemned facility. We are not done. We actually invested $5.3 million, and we have another $18.6 million available that will actually replace these landings within the next 4 years. And I just want to really emphasize that we know that this infrastructure was badly needed to be replaced. It is in place. We will repurpose it for our fire and rescue boats in the future once we build the new landings. And that contract for the new landings is within DOTD today. I think that contract was actually signed this week for the design, so we are moving forward with that. In addition, the Peters Road, the rail alignment project continues to move forward with Jefferson Parish. We've had discussions this week with CSRS and HDR regarding that alignment. They are making progress. We delivered the 10% design for that project to the Union Pacific and the New Orleans Gulf Coast Railway in January, and there are no major issues. There are some discussions taking place, but the 30% design is on target to be completed within the fourth quarter of this year. So that's 30% design completion for the Peters Road Rail bypass. Peters Road Rail Bridge, I'm really excited that DOTD has really picked up the pace. They released an RFP for the redesign of that bridge. As many of us know, that project has been on the books for a couple of decades now. We are probably within 30 to 45 days of an award being made to do that re-engineering work for the bridge. So I think this is just very exciting, not only for the port, for the parish, for the public, because it provides another public transportation route in and out of the parish, which will be badly needed as we continue to grow as a port in the south end of the parish. And we're also making significant progress on the water booster station. That water line is being laid as we speak. I reported to you guys this week that we did find that we had a line break that looks like somebody did a horizontal drill of some fiber through the water line, and we are looking for the group that's responsible for that. But as far as we're concerned, we're going to fix it and keep moving. So there will be a change order. I mean, it's not going to be a significant cost to us, but we are going to be going after the culprits in that case. So those are just things that the port's been very busy over the last quarter, and things that we've delivered, and we just really want to emphasize it in this report. So again, I mean, as you can see, the Point Lahash Ferry Landing, we had to do what we call cover and move earlier this month when myself and several commissioners had to go to Washington, D.C. for an AAPA legislative summit. So we want to thank Reverend Edwards for covering the opening of the new site. We definitely heard really great things about the opening ceremony. We're excited about it, and we're ready to take the next steps. I know we're talking about doing another ceremony where we actually come out and do some cooking for the community and celebrate together as a whole. I've already talked about the additional $18.6 million grant. So we talked about the Peters Road, the 11-mile extension. I'm excited to report today on the 11-mile extension. We actually had a meeting with APM in our office, and they actually had their expert rail engineer in the room with us that met not only with the port, but with Infinity Engineering and 360 Rail, and we went over the entire alignment, including what we're looking at, for the container port land. And I will tell you that there's very exciting news coming forward. So we're moving on the rail, we're moving on the land purchase, and we're just excited to move forward. Water booster station I've already covered. On a human resources side, we have made a decision on the IT manager, and that announcement will be coming soon. And then we are still in the process of advertising for the special assistant for the executive director. So rebranding. I mean, March was definitely exciting month for us. We completed the first phase of the rebranding. What I will say is I want to thank those commissioners that came out for Port Night. I felt like the rebrand and the new logo was received well. We also took it to Washington, D.C. with the American Association of Port Authorities, and we had the opportunity to wave the flag on this new brand and logo, across the U.S. port platform. I will tell you, we received nothing but great feedback, and this week the ports team was actually in Baton Rouge on Monday and Tuesday for a Ports Association of Louisiana meeting. Again, we represented very well. The port actually had a booth at this event, and we presented, our new logo, which was received very well. We have a new pop-up map that, identifies all of our critical marine terminal assets. It also identifies downtown Phoenix. And it's been received very well by everybody that has seen the map, so we're excited. And what I will tell you is the next step on the rebranding is really the local and the global campaign that's in front of us. And our goal is to make sure that this time next year, that the port staff will be able to provide some metrics to clearly communicate, how we've actually elevated the brand and the strategic geography of the Louisiana Gateway Port. And following behind that will clearly be new business and economic development. On the renovation side, the RFP for the new roof, there's some issues that we had with the advertising. We will be working on that. But our plan is to get the roof on that building replaced early during the hurricane season. And we're probably going to take 6 to 8 months to completely replace all of the ventilation within the building. That is, we're going to need to completely re-engineer it and redesign it and replace everything. And then we're also working closely on getting that bypass switch for our generator. We have an old generator. We've put a lot of work, a lot of resources into it. We're comfortable that it operates, it's functional, but we're going to put this bypass switch on it because it is aging, and we want to make sure that if we have an event, that we have the ability to roll in an emergency generator to ensure that we can not only keep the port services moving, but also the parish's 911 services. And that concludes my report. I'm open to your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tilson. Any comments from the audience? Come on up.
Clarence Brooks, 156 Enos Cameron Lane. I know Mr. Mitch Juridish, Mitch. And Mr. Konovich, y'all got the answer for this one. The ships, they're already before the ports get there. And they dropping anchors, and dropping anchors do something to me physically because I have some problem with that. It sounds like somebody just shooting a gun, boom, 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 boom. And there's a lot, and we have some foggy days, and then fog horns are steady going on. So there will be more and more ships and more fog horns, and it is. And I don't think we're going to get used to it. Y'all say we will get used to it in the long run, but it's right now it is a menace. Just want to let you know that.
Yes, sir.
We feel it, and we not, and also those ships can be running 24 hours a day, and that's a lot of fumes and stuff coming from it going in the air.
All right. Thank you. Any other comments from the audience? I can skip you. Mr. Jurisich.
Yes, the last meeting, I asked to have someone from APMT present because we keep talking container port land purchases. I don't see container port. You said you met with them this week? This past week?
That is correct. So we actually had APM here all morning, and I had dinner with them last week. They also sponsored Port Night, so they've been very active with us. And the port also, myself and Ms. McKnight, was in APM's office with APM and Maersk on last Friday, discussing the next steps. We actually have some action items, so we are being very active. We are working this project on a weekly basis, and it is real, Commissioner Jurisich, and there are some deliverables that I will be able to share with the commission on very short notice.
I mean, because, I keep hearing it, but I asked for them to be here. And, I'll say it again, I asked for them to be at the next one. I mean, it's time to, make a move because
I will make a
I
request
think
to
we're
have.
beat out on this project.
Got it. I'll make a request for them to be at the next one. I apologize because I didn't understand that you wanted them to be here at the meeting.
I would love them here.
But we will,
What they have to say.
okay, I will invite them to the next meeting. and make sure that that happens.
Okay, you had a meeting yesterday of some sort?
We had a meeting last night, we had dinner, and then we also had a meeting from 8:30 this morning until 1 o'clock today.
What about, you had any other meetings yesterday?
Any other meetings yesterday? I'm not really sure I mean, we had a phone call with a customer, a potential customer, I mean, if that's what you're referring to. We had a Teams meeting.
Okay,
I mean, if you can be specific, I can answer.
something happening with certain portion of ground here on the East Bank?
So we did have a call with a potential purchaser for the Port Nickel site. They are very interested in that site, and they are in discussions with the owners on purchasing that site. We received all of their information. I sent an email yesterday with a high-level summary of that to all of the commissioners. And I'm more than open to sit down after this meeting, or we can have a meeting tomorrow and really get into more of those details.
Okay, because I know we also had something fly across us, which is getting introduced today, about Economic Development Director. And your association may be trying to, I hear it's to maybe open up communication, but when I read things, I see it looks like you're just trying to take over the economic development portion that the government has. And hold up, Chris, hold up.
Did you read the new intro that I sent you?
I didn't read it in entirety, but I still, where I'm going with this is the fact that I think our economic development director has been doing a stellar job. And the reason some people may be interested in some properties is because it's coming through her department, which her department consists of one. Okay, I just want to be sure and be clear that when this does develop, if it develops, that we know who should get the recognition for it.
Well, thank you very much for that, and I am very open to the economic development director getting any recognition that's due to her. I think the only concerns that I have, and the only thing that was raised in terms of a resolution and introduction from me today, is to ensure that the port is involved in any and all economic development opportunities that touch the river. I will tell you that in that call yesterday, there were some very critical river as well as rail logistics discussions that took place on that call that the customer did not fully understand. And so when it comes to, working barges on the river, if we're going to be putting a new mooring buoy, if we're going to be changing anchorages, if there is going to be a rail connection into that facility where we're moving commerce, it is critical that I understand that because all of those details are part of the port's master plan and is part of the port's 5-year capital improvement program, and we can guide those customers better because this is what we do every day in terms of working the marine terminals and overseeing the marine terminals on the Mississippi River within our port district and within the jurisdiction of the Louisiana Gateway Port.
Would it be fair to say, if it wouldn't be for our economic development director, you may not be talking to these people at all?
I mean, I really can't. I can't answer that. What I can tell you is that that I've in the last month, I've actually had conversations with 5 different entities that are interested in doing business. I can also tell you that prior to taking this job, as a chief commercial officer, this is a routine, thing where you're talking to potential new customers, and it's oftentimes you may find that every 10 potential that you have a discussion with, there's one real one in there. There's one real opportunity. And so what I've gained from that in terms of my experience is really understanding what the customer is really looking for, right? And what we can really deliver, and making sure that we can match those two things up to get the win for the port as well as the tenant.
The job of the economic development director is to put two people together and let them make the deal. So,
All right,
I just want to make it clear. The economic development director, sometimes she has to be under an NDA for certain things. And I wish,
All right, I'm going to interject,
Go ahead.
because right now, we're not talking about that resolution. Second of all, that resolution is being introduced as communicate and collaborate. And if you read the law, Louisiana Revised Statute 34-1360, the district acting through its governing authority shall have the power to regulate the commerce and traffic within said district in such manner as it may, in its judgment, be best for the public interest. I don't care who gets the credit. To me, we're all one team. And this no communication, now, wait, hold on, let me finish. The no communication, doing things behind the port's back, I'm not saying, me and Mr. Newsome as vice chair have been tasking Charles to communicate better with the parish as well. But I agree. But as he said, there's rail, barge implications. We have to do a better job communicating, and that's what that resolution is, to collaborate and communicate. Nothing more. We're not trying to take credit for anybody's work. I agree. Good job, Mr. DeMarco. It brings a win to the parish, the port, and the people of Plaquemines Parish. We have to work together as a team in everything we do. So I'm going to put it in. We can talk about this when that comes up for a vote. If it comes up for a vote, if we solve the communication issue before then it won't have to come up for a vote. So we can talk about it at that time. But I'm going to end this discussion at this point because we're getting kind of off subject on something not on the agenda. And I feel like if we're going to communicate and we're having this discussion, Mr. DeMarco and President Hinckley should be here to defend themselves also. So that's why I'm going to end the discussion on that issue. Are you done?
yeah. Are you riled up?
Yes, you did. Ms. McCarty.
Thank you. Good job on the launch of the logo. I have a question about, did we cross all our i's and cross our t's and dot our i's? Because someone told me that a competitor is using our logo. So did we trademark the graphic? Did we trade name Louisiana Gateway Port, and we turned ships faster before we introduced it? Just wondering.
So the logo itself, I think that is in the process. The turning bigger ships faster is complete. So we actually have the certificates for that. I am unaware of another port or entity using our logo. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if there was other entities that had the state of Louisiana and the Mississippi River. But I think,
Exact.
pardon me?
It has to be the exact logo to.
Right. But we're working with the firm. Ms. McKnight is working with Ms. Bell to ensure that everything that we have is solid.
So we did file before we revealed for everything. Just want to make sure, because I know we could get a provisional patent for something, but I don't know about provisional trade names. So we did file before we revealed it.
So the Louisiana Gateway Port, yes.
It's done,
So
but-
the logo, I would have to confirm on the logo.
Okay.
But we are working very closely with the Palmer Group, and we will ensure that we have a follow-up conversation with you on it.
Okay, and also,
But I'd like to just make sure that I clarify one thing. I'm really not too concerned about someone trying to jump in and figure out how to leverage the Louisiana Gateway Port's strategic geography and our positioning in the center of the Gulf of America, where we can turn ships bigger than any other, port in the Gulf of Mexico, because, just because of the geography, because of the water depth, the natural water depth, the unobstructed air draft ways within our district. So others could and probably will and may try to emulate us, But, I mean, they can't duplicate us, so we're not too concerned about that.
I'm not concerned about them being able to be in our water space and turn things faster either. That's not the question. It's more about, did we do things properly since we paid a lot of money to this company? And did they file before we revealed?
We-
That's the proper way.
We
That's-
will have a follow-up conversation with you.
Okay.
We'll
And
schedule a
please-
meeting with you.
And please also, I had had a couple of conversations in our meetings about the color, so please send over the RGB and the CMYK.
Pardon me?
Please send over the color codes for the logo. Thank you.
I think, Angelina, I think you've already sent the color codes. Yeah, we can send that to you.
Thank you. I yield.
Mr. Champagne?
Yeah, I know you spent a lot of time talking about the logo, and it's awesome, and it did make a big impact, but spend some time talking about the website, because I really spent some time on it, and it is well done, first class. And I think we're focusing on the logo so much, you're failing to take
right.
credit for a well-done website.
That's-
It's way better than what we had before, and I tell you, it's first class, and y'all should be proud of it. So again, spend some time bragging about that. I yield.
Mr. Reverend Edwards?
Yeah, I want to commend also the Poet on this logo. I got a chance to go to Baton Rouge, and it was amazing to me how people began to use the name. Because one guy made a presentation, he called himself, oh, I'm sorry, I mean Louisiana Gateway. So people are really looking at the good. The other thing, Charles, I was really glad you brought the letter about what's happening with our economic development person, because I have a different take than Mitch on that issue. I just believe, and I think you said it very clearly, that anything dealing, whether I have difference with you or not, you still the Pope executive director. The Pope still have a master plan, whether I agree with it or not. And for me, for the economic development, for the parish president, anybody to do anything that relate to this water bottom, to me is a problem. I made it very clear to the economic development, even if they're gonna do something on the east bank of the river, as a councilman, I would like to be involved in that conversation, especially if you're going to be dealing with the AMAC property. The residents have been asking me over and over and over about that. So I don't even like the whole way that process went. And that's why I came to you, that was you aware that something was taking place, and how do it fit into the master plan? And I still think that the process wasn't the best process, and I'm hoping that, I'm for the parish government trying to find a way to get revenue that just come from us with the Pope, because I know that's the big issue. But I still think that if we got a master plan and where we at right now, we don't need to come in, especially, forget about the Pope, but the fact that this is happening in District 1, and I felt like I was blindsided on it, and I'm on record of saying that. I found out I was disrespected on that, and I'm on record on that. I'm not moving from that. You come into the district, having meetings in this district like I don't even exist, on that. And I made it very clear, AMAC, to Cyril, I was on the zoning board, and I had a conversation with economic development when I was on the zoning board when the AMACs came. So I'm on record clear that if anything happened with AMAC, I want to be involved in it. And I could tell you, I did not have any involvement in it. Leave you out of it. I did not have any involvement as a council member. And so I really have some serious problems with this process. And I just think that we got to nip this thing where it need to be at, and say anything that dealing with, as you just said, anything dealing with water bottoms and all, because my understanding you're going to use the barges with it, because I made it very clear that the community East Bank do not want anything involving the railroad, because it will close our community down, because once that rail comes, we'll close down. So I'm was really upset by it. Again, this administration continue to disrespect me, so I'm used to the disrespect that I get from ministry. This is another thing added on disrespect, like my position don't even exist.
All right.
I yield.
You got amen there, Mr. Konovich? Mr. Newsom?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm gonna try to spin it positive. The first thing I wanna commend Reverend Edwards on the opening of the ferry. We were not in town and you spearheaded that, took that on. Your second line dance was as usual, second to none. So look, when we get time, just give us all those steps and teach us something. So I wanna thank you for that, for taking that project and spearheading while we were out of town. It was really it's a great thing, you know, East Bank residents have been without it for a very long time, and so, again, thank you for doing that and stepping up and while we were out of time.
I know I'm religious, but I'm not Jesus.
Let's work. Let's work.
What you trying to say, Reverend? You got no rhythm? You ain't got no rhythm?
Also, you know, and I do agree with Mr. Juris on the APM folks. Look, it's a huge investment, and to get him here to speak would be something that the commission would definitely take into some heart. So we appreciate that happening if it happens. I know Mr. Juris wasn't able to make Port Night. He had a town hall, which is very important to the residents, to inform the residents of information that needs to be informed of. So, but 8 p.m. I will speak because I was there at the town hall, at the Port Night. It is a real, they sounded very excited. Now, sounding and doing is again, it's there. But they did make the statement that they were ready to come operate their 61st operation, and it's for, and I'll say this, for the Louisiana Gateway Port. So, with those comments, I will yield. Thank you.
Yes, logo was received well at AAPA. I think Ms. Bell gave out, I don't know how many pins that she kept having come back for more because people liked the new logo and everything. So good job, Angelina and Palmer Group. Again, website, I was on it yesterday trying to find something, and much better than what it used to be. And so good job on that. As we roll into phase 2, keep up the good work. And again, just, I want to be clear that we voted on that master plan, that we tasked this port on what to do. So to basically, as council members, also, we got to be aware that if something's going on and it's going against the master plan, we need to be aware of it as commissioners and possibly modify our master plan. Again, we're just trying to have better communication where we're all in the same loop, moving towards the same goal, which is to better Plaquemines Parish as a whole. Reverend Edwards stated his concerns as a council member in that district, not to include him at least in the discussions. He should have been included. I don't care who gets the win or what, but we need to move together as one and move this parish forward. So that's my takeaway is we approved that master plan, but we're also council members, which we need to do a better job from the council side to the port side, making sure we're all working together. I yield. Ms. Kognovich.
Like to thank y'all for last week. Enjoyed myself.
Is that a smile?
I won't go back. I won't go back.
You won't go back?
Not because of y'all. I just don't like sitting around listening to people say we can't do something. But between you and the economic development, I'm tired of getting all of this. Most part, it's all about re-elections and what feather I could put in my hat. You know, you're doing a job that we hired you to do, or the elected people elected you to do. If Venture Global came, you know, somebody got a raise for that, but he didn't go out and find Venture Global. They just came here. You know, people are coming here because this is where they need to be. And for me to put a feather in my hat and go to the people, say, oh, I got them here, elect me. You know, I'm going to push no on electing people saying that he did his job. You know, if he did his job, I'll elect him. But if not, you know, that's where I stand. You shouldn't be using the office to put a feather in your cap. Because if you work for the people, like Mr. LaFrance and myself, we didn't have to run for re-election because we voted for the people and nobody ran against us. Yep, I'd have beat them up.
Ain't nobody wanted this job.
Yeah, that's the truth, Ms. LaFrance. Seeing nobody else in the queue, next item, please.
4, bids and advertisements. There are none. 5, introduction of ordinances and resolutions.
The following are under Commissioner Schultz. A resolution affirming the separation of operations and economic development in the Port District from the Plaquemines Parish Government to the Port Commission in coordination with the Executive Director of the Port and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. A resolution authorizing the Port Director to petition and file an application for a map change pursuant to and in conformity with the comprehensive zoning ordinance to rezone those certain properties located in Point Celeste Farms subdivision, phases 1 and 2, identified as follows: Lot 2A, 35, not yet acquired, 36, not yet acquired, 49, 57B, 58B, 60B, which are now owned by or to be acquired by the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District from floodplain district to heavy industrial district and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. A resolution authorizing and directing the Port's Executive Director, Charles Tillotson, to enter into and execute a cooperative endeavor agreement between the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District and Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development to coordinate grant funding and project management of the Walker Road Bridge project and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance to authorize the Executive Director of the Port, Charles Tillotson, to construct a generator bypass for the Port's Administration Building and to amend the 2025 Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District operating expenditure budget and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. And finally, an ordinance authorizing the Executive Director of the Port, Charles Tillotson, to amend the contract with Mercury Public Affairs lobbyists established through ordinance number 23-33 to include state and local representation necessary to protect its interest in all matters, and to amend the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District's 2025 operating expenditure budget and otherwise to provide with respect thereto, and that is it.
Thank you. All right, at this time, B as in Bravo is deferred and reintroduced. D as in Delta is deferred. Suspension is withdrawn and it was reintroduced with new language. So that's Bravo and Delta deferred and suspension is withdrawn. Any comments?
No comment.
Next item, please.
D, a resolution authorizing the Executive Director of the Port, Charles T. Tillotson, to enter into and execute an agreement between Rio Grande Pacific Corporation and Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District to review the design of the rail extension to the proposed Plaquemines Container Port, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Commissioner Schultz.
I offer ask for a second. Second by Mr. Conovich. Any comments from the audience? Administration.
Yeah, I'd just like to clarify that this is actually within my limits to approve, so I could have, but it is a rail agreement that is for not to exceed $100,000 that will be funded out of the budget for the rail extension, the 11-mile rail extension. We just wanted to make sure that we were very transparent because we're signing a contract, and we wanted to make sure that the Port Commission understood that we were doing that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any comments from the table? Machines are open. Passes 9-0. Next item, please.
E, an ordinance authorizing the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District Executive Director of the Port, Charles Tillotson, to issue task order number 13 to Lanier and Associates for engineering services related to the detailed design of the HVAC system upgrades for the Popage Administration Building renovation project, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Commissioner Schultz.
Can you move the screen to E?
Sorry.
Thank you. I offer ask for a second. Second by Reverend Edwards. Do I have any comments from the audience? Administration. Table. Mr. Kokrovich.
I hope we're putting a thermostat in. I'm tired of getting calls about cold or hot, and you gotta call somebody in Timbuktu to do the thermostat.
Yeah, me too. Thank you.
Machine,
I am, trust me.
trust me, I think after all the complaints he gets on going from one room to another, he's taking it serious.
And I think, there were 4 of you with me last week, and you saw that I was really struggling, and I'm pretty sure it may be related to
We don't meet.
temperature changes there.
You die.
That's all the vegetables.
Machines are open.
Taking the oxygen out the air. Letting carbon go.
Oh, my goodness. Passes 9-0. Next item, please.
These them credits for them carbon, so you gotta leave plants work.
F, an ordinance to increase the contract amount with Dr. Lauren Scott for the Economic Impact Analysis 2025 Operate and Expenditure Budget Line Item Professional Services General and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Commissioner Schultz.
Offer ask for a second. Second by Ms. McCarthy. Any comments from the audience? Administration. Mr. Newsom.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Tell us, can you give a little more detail of what we're doing here?
So,
I know, and I agree with this, and I know when we were in Washington last week, Dr. Lauren Scott's name got mentioned numerous times at all these seminars we went to. So just give us a high level of.
yes. So
Thank you.
if you remember, we estimated $100,000 for the economic impact analysis for the entire Port District. Our goal is to be able to clearly articulate the full economic impact in Plaquemines Port District on the number of jobs and the economic impact in terms of payroll, taxes, et cetera, just to be able to have that narrative, to be able to talk about the Port District in the bigger picture with the state. And then also, as we are seeking federal grants, we just want to make sure that that data is available because it's oftentimes asked for, right? And so, though we did an economic impact analysis for Venture Global in 2023, if you remember, it was from 22 to 26. And then we also did a economic impact analysis for the container terminal, and that was kind of a forecast. What we didn't have in our budget was this new FID of $18 billion and a forward look for Venture Global, and those numbers are going to be huge. And we really just need to tie that into a bigger picture message, and we need to be, communicating that through our new website. We actually have a place in there where we will be doing that on the website, social media, and our grant requests, and then also we need to put this information out there so that nationwide that people really start to recognize that the Louisiana Gateway Port is the fastest growing port in the United States. When you just look at by tonnage, I mean, we will go from 50 million tons a year to over 80 million tons a year within a 2 to 3 year period. I mean, that's significant growth. And we just need to tell the full story. So that's really what it's all about.
So I do have a question based on our discussion earlier. Is this study impacted by the potential sale? And do we need to account for that in this study
The potential sale of,
on the East Bank that we were talking about earlier?
so.
Or do we need to wait?
So there's a negotiating period, so I would say that we would not include that in this. But we would include Venture Global. We would also do, a reforecast of that period because we went from 22 to 26. We really want to look out to 2032 with Venture Global. And then all of our other marine terminal operators, there's several. You have
No, I get it.
Stolthaven, you have,
I was just thinking if this sale goes through, does that impact it? Are we gonna have to come back again, or do we wait and do this all at one time?
if we, what
It just popped in my brain.
yeah, what I'd prefer to do is wait to see if it happens because we really don't know if that is going to really happen. And if it does, we can try to add it on the back end.
Okay. All right. So you want to move forward for the time being?
Yes.
All right, machines are open. Passes 9-0. Next item, please.
Resolution adopting the quarterly updates and additions to the policies and procedures for Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District, the port, and otherwise to provide with
We're
respect.
deferring this for now? Okay, defer. All right, that G is also going to be deferred. All right, next item, please.
No items under 7, new business. 8, approval of the minutes from the March 13th, 2025 regular.
Offered by Mr. Newsom, second by Mr. Cognizant. Any comments by the audience? Administration, table. Machines are open. Passes. Not 8-1. We're not adjourning yet, Mr. Edwards. No, this is approval for the minutes. All right, before we adjourn, we say on the council side, I want to say on the record, go vote, however you want to vote. Go vote Saturday. Just go vote.
Please.
That's all I ask.
What? Hobbo's gonna tell you how to vote. They might-
Habo can tell you how to vote, but not on the record.
I already did that.
All right, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Newsom, second by Mr. Kokrovich. Now we're voting on adjournment, Ms. Edwards. Passes 8-1 with a no vote from Ms. Edwards. You can stay here. We have adjournment at 5:02.